Good morning, everybody. This is Evan. Thanks so much for joining the webinar today. Before we jump into it, I just want to give you guys a little background about myself and what I do. I work on Goodway's food processing sanitation team, and my role is to help our customers improve their sanitation and food safety programs through the introduction of innovative cleaning technologies. Over the past 6 years, I've been working very closely with customers in the bakery and snack food industry every day, out in the field, visiting facilities to do demonstrations and training, and going to help them improve food safety, promote best practices, and help develop new best practices with our customers. In the past 6 years, I've been over 500 facilities, and this is kind of what I do every day. So today we're going to talk about cleaning and sanitation in bakery and snack food environments and how it's a changing landscape out there right now, especially with FSMA, Food Safety Modernization Act. It's kind of changed the game. It's given the FDA much greater powers, which we'll get into in a little bit, as well as consumer awareness of food allergens. Allergen sickness has been on the rise lately, as well as the amount of recalls as well. We'll also look at challenges in ready-to-eat baked goods and candy facilities. We'll look at proper cleaning and sanitation techniques, and then different tools for cleaning in dry environments and some best practices and case studies we've put together. And then at the end, we'll have some time for question and answer. So FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, it's really changed the game for food processing and sanitation specifically. The FDA now has much stronger power. They can initiate a recall or shut down a facility if they think that there's a potential that food may have been safe under made under unsanitary conditions. So they've got the power now to shut down a facility if they see anything wrong and initiate a recall. And the onus is now on the food processor to ensure that food is made under safe conditions and be able to prove that, have the data and the processes in place and written down and procedures implemented, master sanitation schedules and standard operating procedures that prove that everything in the facility is being addressed on the sanitation side. The FDA has also been looking for improved cleanliness of non-food contact surfaces. Now, these surfaces that aren't food contact have kind of been neglected just because it's not a food contact surface, it's not touching the food. But the FDA is now looking for more cleanliness in environmental surfaces, even below product zones, and looking for more environmental monitoring in facilities that traditionally, like bakeries and snack food facilities, haven't had to have environmental monitoring programs like that. So ever since FSMA, the FDA has more powers, and they're looking for cleaner plants and more swabbing of non-food contact areas. At the same time, there's been an increase in the amount of allergen recalls. You can see between 1997 and 2008, the prevalence of peanut or tree nut allergies has tripled in United States children. And you could see the amount of recalls over that same time has gone up simultaneously. So more people are developing these food allergens, and at the same time, the amount of recalls are going up due to that heightened sensitivity to the allergens and increased awareness by consumers that those allergens might be present and could make them sick. Now, some of the main challenges in ready-to-eat baked good, candy, snack bar facilities, definitely a big one for fresh bread facilities is mold and yeast. Mold and yeast will lower product shelf life, increase customer complaints. Pathogens are always a concern, salmonella and E. coli. It's a big reason we keep a dry environment in a bakery after the ovens, is just to minimize the amount of moisture we introduce and limit the possibility that pathogens could grow from that moisture. Product changeovers, especially allergen changeovers, being able to clean equipment to an allergen level is very challenging. Cleaning in low moisture and dry environments in general can be very challenging as well. Doing a flood cleaning, a full wash down, you can get things done very fast, but because of that increased microload, it's not always desired. So in dry environments, we have more limited tools that we'll get into, and it could be a challenge. And then lastly, limiting allergen cross-contamination. Just making sure that an allergen that isn't supposed to be in a product is not in that product. Here are the big 8 food allergens in the United States. And then the 4 below are food allergens outside of the United States. There's some talks of sesame possibly being the 9th allergen in the United States, which would definitely pose a challenge for bakeries with sesame seeds. For right now, it's just those big 8 allergens, milk, egg, tree nuts, etc. In order to limit allergen cross-contamination, a food plant needs an entire allergen control plan that'll cover everything from risk assessment all the way down the list. We're really going to focus in on the sanitation and changeover cleaning portion of that overall allergen control plan and dive into that right now. So within that allergen sanitation and changeover cleaning program, the goals are to remove allergens from a surface effectively and then validate that those allergens have been removed through a swab test, a rapid test that'll ensure that there's no protein left on the surface. But typically, we're looking to swab product contact surfaces and any adjacent surfaces that the product could potentially touch or that where a soil could fall into the product stream. Here we have several methods of dry cleaning. Up on the top, we have a nice visual graphic that our partners at Remco provided for us. So all the way in the bottom left, we've got our lowest risk method of cleaning, which would be vacuuming. Every time we vacuum, we're actually removing soils from the environment. So it's the ideal way to clean because we have no residual soils to clean afterwards. We're removing those soils from the environment. Wiping would also be considered very low risk because we're not blowing anything around or making anything airborne. Scraping would be next for more stubborn debris. Then scrubbing with a brush. Now we're starting to get a little more into the medium risk because scrubbing could make particles airborne, as could sweeping. But these are still all considered pretty low risk, good cleaning methods for dry areas. And when we get to the top right, using compressed air would be considered more on the high risk side. The use of compressed air and sanitation should be limited. It should really only be used if equipment cannot be cleaned by any other means. So if you can, try to vacuum first, wipe, scrape, scrub, sweep before you use compressed air. If you do have to use compressed air, it's best to keep it at 40 psi or lower. That'll ensure that any microorganisms or any soils on the equipment aren't made airborne if we keep that pressure down. And the compressed air should never be used to clean floors or any environmental surfaces. And then the highest risk we have is hosing, doing a flood cleaning or a wet cleaning. It introduces a very high microload into environments, and if not dried properly, if water is allowed to pool or equipment's not designed for washdown, we'd very quickly have mold and yeast and microorganisms and potentially pathogens growing. So that'd be our highest risk. If we can keep water out of the environment, we want to do that whenever we can, and the use of wet cleaning should be the exception to the rule rather than the standard. So methods of dry cleaning, we went through over on the left. Of course, towards the bottom of the list, we have some newer technologies that have really been helping food processors kind of get to that next level with dry cleaning, which is dry ice and dry steam cleaning. So we're going to talk quite a bit about dry steam. Since dry steam uses such a low amount of moisture, we limit the amount of microload and microorganisms that could grow in the environment, which means that we don't allow the possibility for mold or pathogens to grow. And we still maintain that dry environment, but we have a tool that could do a more aggressive, deep, thorough cleaning. So here's just a picture of one of our dry steam cleaners, our portable unit. Now, what is dry steam? It kind of doesn't make sense. I put a chart together here that shows the differences between conventional plant steam that you'd see in a boiler or wet steam versus a dry vapor steam that we make in our portable machines. So you see we take the pressure and temperature much, much higher inside that boiler. As we raise the temperature and pressure, we compress the water and turn the water into a gas, into a dry vapor. We get a much higher exit temperature and a much lower moisture content. So really, dry saturated steam, it's 100% water vapor in the gas form. Dry steam is just a scientific name for the type of steam that we create. It's intended to melt fats, dissolve sugars, kill mold and other microorganisms on contact, and it'll disperse solids within that little bit of residual moisture. Because we compress the steam, the vapor steam particles come out at less than 1/10,000th of a micron, which allows them to penetrate very hard to reach areas, even things so small like micropores on stainless steel or on plastics. Dry steam can get in there, penetrate, and lift soils out. So you can get into very hard to reach areas. And of course, it's a very sustainable and safe technology. Our standard steam cleaner uses about 7 gallons of water per hour, so very low water consumption, and it's very safe to use, which I'll show in this video right here. So here's one of our industrial dry steam cleaning units. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, right around here. So right now you see Zach. I'm just going to pause that for a sec. All that cleaning power is within 2 to 3 inches from the nozzle, and the further from the nozzle you get, the steam starts to evaporate very quickly. So it becomes very safe to work with. About 6 inches from the nozzle, you could put your hand right there, and it's very safe. No one ever hurts themselves using the technology. We've never had any scalding incidents or anything like that. As long as you have PPE on, which is always safety glasses, gloves, and hearing protection, totally safe to operate. So here's what the steam looks like cleaning up some chocolate residue from equipment framework and feet. So it just kind of melts the chocolate, we push it away. And then typically we'd wipe that area with a rag and we'd be done cleaning. So the ideal applications for dry steam, it really shines in dry environments where we want to keep the amount of moisture we use to a minimum, just to prevent microgrowth, or if there's no drains, or if it's water sensitive equipment. So it works excellent for cleaning around packaging areas, hard to reach areas, any sandwich joints or niche areas. Doing deep cleaning and periodic cleaning throughout the facility, any master sanitation schedule work that is done maybe quarterly or semi-annually. Steamer does a really good job at those deep cleaning applications. Doing a faster, more thorough cleaning in those applications above. We've also used our steam cleaning equipment to remove allergens in equipment that can't be washed down, or maybe there's an adjacent line running, or the equipment was water sensitive. We've used steam to loosen up and help remove allergens as part of an allergen cleanup. And then automating conveyor belt cleaning, which we'll get into quite a bit. It also has good application in one environment. The scope is a little more narrow, but it works very well for cleaning water-sensitive equipment as well, any motors, conduit, control panels, also doing deep cleaning and periodic cleaning, getting into hard-to-reach areas. We've also got some different attachments, which I'll get into on the next page, for sanitizing drains and other small parts. Here's a testimonial from one of our partners that makes potato chips. They keep 2 different areas, a processing area that is a full wash down when the potatoes come in, and after they've been fried and go into packaging, the packaging area is kept totally dry, just to prevent any microorganisms from growing, any mold, and potentially causing stale or moldy chips. So as the chips come down, they come down a vibrating conveyor, and then there's these slide gates that open and close to let the chips fall through into the weigh scales and into the bags. So in those slide gates that open and close, they're very time consuming to clean. They were doing just a dry cleaning with compressed air, scraper, a bucket and water, and they just have very hard to reach areas in screws and inside the track that the gate slides in and out of. And the soils they had in there were an oily residue and seasoning buildup. They implemented our steam cleaning system and were able to achieve several benefits. They more thoroughly cleaned the equipment. They were able to consistently pass ATP, so they had to do less re-cleaning because they always pass their ATP swabs after steam cleaning, so they didn't have to go back and clean equipment again. It improved equipment reliability because they were able to clean adjacent areas that they typically didn't have time to clean. Things like air cylinders that open and close the slide gate, they were able to thoroughly clean with the steam cleaner. And because they were able to thoroughly clean that piece, equipment reliability went up. And lastly, they reduced customer complaints. They used to get some chunks of seasoning that would fall off from inside that track. They eliminated a lot of those concerns, and customer complaints decreased because they were able to more thoroughly clean and get those chunks out. They eliminated degreaser chemical. They used only 7 gallons of water per hour. And maybe most importantly, their cleaning time reduction per slide gate was reduced by 50%. So these facilities have anywhere from 15, maybe up to 40, 45 slide gates. So cutting that cleaning time in half was a huge benefit for them. Here's some of the specialty steam attachments we developed from feedback from customers and specific applications out in the field. So from the top left, we've got some overhead pipe cleaning attachments that'll, with different extension wands, can clean overhead pipes from the ground level. Some food-grade squeegee attachments for cleaning tabletops and flat surfaces, stainless steel and glass windows. On the bottom left, we've got color-coded brush attachments. Those are made with FDA-approved materials, non-marking, non-absorbent, stainless steel staples, and they're designed for food contact use, just to limit cross-contamination. If we could designate one color for a zone 1 or food contact surface and another color for below food contact surfaces, then we eliminate the possibility for cross-contamination with that brush. In the center, we've got some 90-degree wands, fan sprays, scraper attachments. We had some customers that were spraying steam onto soils and then manually scraping them off, so we just made that together into a tool. Then on the bottom center, we've got the drain sanitizing attachment. It's basically a manhole cover that goes over a drain, and it's intended for problem drains that have any micro issues or maybe imperfections in the drain. We put that cover over the drain, inject steam. There's a thermometer on top. We hold it at 180 degrees for a minute, and we know we've sanitized inside that drain, even if there's cracks and imperfections. Now, it's not a replacement for a foam cleaning and scrubbing. It's just a supplemental tool to use on a periodic basis and help reset the microcounts in the drain back to 0. We've got our belt cleaning attachments in the top right, and then our floor spinner attachment, which works great for cleaning floors where a floor scrubber can't reach, maybe underneath equipment or up on catwalks where you can't get a floor scrubber. It's an excellent tool. So now we'll talk about conveyor cleaning with dry steam. Conveyor cleaning is a very time-consuming task in a lot of facilities, because there's so many belts, and belts can be very long. Spiral coolers could be up to a mile long. So we'll first look at our brushless system, which is for flat, solid belting. Where we found the most success with the brushless system is in bakeries, cereal plants, confectionaries, and chocolate and candy, in bar manufacturing facilities, nutraceuticals. And here's what it looks like live. It's a 3-part system. It uses the same dry steam cleaner that we'd use for manual cleaning, with a belt cleaning head that's portable. We can take from one belt to another. We do have a system that is fixed, that mounts underneath the belt, that you could run during production. We have several customers that do that for any products that are very sticky, cause issues with belts mistracking or other production issues. We have customers that run this all day long during production. And so we have steam. So as the belt comes through, the steam melts all the soils. It'll break down the chocolates. You get some residual moisture on the belt with the soil mixed in. And then the vacuum extraction at the end pulls everything away and leaves everything clean and dry. The steam will loosen up allergens as well, and the vacuum removes them. So we validated this system for allergen removal on several different allergens. So here we see the chocolate coming in. And then the vacuum pulls everything away and we're clean and dry on the other side. Right now the belt's dry enough where we could have production run immediately. There's no drying time and the belts are ready for immediate use. Now, here's a case study from a big candy manufacturer we work with. They had some very long cooling tunnel belts, two per line, that needed to be cleaned to an allergen level every 14 days when they ran from a coconut product with almonds to a coconut product without almonds. So they're removing that almond protein. In the past, they were doing a semi-dry cleaning with just throwing 8 people at the belt with buckets of clean water, buckets of soapy water, and just all wiping the belt. And it was very, very labor intensive, took many people, many, many hours. And they went away from that towards using our brushless system, which I just showed you guys. They were able to validate that they did remove the almond protein, so it was a successful allergen clean with our system. Just in 1 year alone, they were able to save $79,000 in labor savings from cleaning that belt. So they were able to deploy those people elsewhere and save all that money on changeovers. And they were also able to increase production. So you see between those 3 lines, they were able to produce an extra 5 shifts every 2 weeks. So an additional 187,000 pounds of product. So production went higher, cleaning costs went lower, and the plant was very, very happy. So that was our system for flat, solid, or fabric belting. Here's a system that we use for plastic mesh belting and metal rod belting in dry bakery environments. We found the most success with this system in dry bread, bun, English muffin, roll, artisan bread facilities, where a dry environment is maintained after the ovens and we just have dry debris. The idea is we steam clean the belt. Well, here, let me play the video. So we just do a quick cleanup. Use 2 people to mount the conveyor cleaning system. It's portable and adjustable on the width, so we can make it fit different belts. Then once we have the belt cleaner going, see we use the same steam generator that we use for the other belt cleaning system and for manual cleaning, also is able to power this belt cleaning attachment. So we just have that hose going up. We feed steam in and clean the belt. So what the steam is actually doing is it's cleaning the belt, introducing no moisture into the environment, and it's actually that heat transfer from the steam is bringing mold counts down. So this is especially beneficial, especially in the summer months when humidity starts to rise and mold starts to creep in. We're able to use this system to keep mold counts down on food contact surfaces and allow less mold to transfer onto products. A lot of our partners who do have mold issues in the summertime use this system every 2 weeks, and it really helps them bring their mold counts down and reduce customer complaints. So here's what the steam looks like coming through. You can see we just get a dry debris in the bottom. Another nice thing about using steam versus compressed air is that little bit of moisture that the steam adds weighs all the soils down, so nothing becomes airborne. It all just ends up right there down on the floor, clean, dry, and mold-free. So here's a testimonial from a bread bakery we work closely with. They had a large spiral cooler that they were pressure washing once a week with 2 employees managing the wastewater with squeegees, just moving all the water towards drains and away from the conveyor. They went away from that towards using our jet system. You could see that bag of 17 pounds of crumbs over on the right. All that would have went into waste stream before, and they were able to see a labor reduction from 14 hours of the pressure washing and squeegeeing down to 6 hours just setting up the conveyor, setting up the belt cleaning system, and then the pre and post cleanup. So significant labor time reduction, and a really significant cleaning time reduction. The old way used to take them 10 hours because they'd have to wash the belt, squeegee the water, blow dry the belt with compressed air, and then have maintenance re-oil the belt. Now they just use our jet system, 2 revolutions of the spiral, and it's clean and immediately ready for production. So they shorten that cleaning window significantly as well, and they're able to turn the belt over faster back to production. And the whole process generates no wastewater and no chemicals. You just get dry debris down on the floor like you saw. Something a little bit newer for Goodway is our BioSpray technology. This is also ideal for dry environments where we want to keep the moisture content down. We use a 58% isopropyl alcohol combined with a 200 parts per million quat. When we apply this product to a surface, the alcohol, which is an amazing antiseptic on its own, flash dries within a minute, and that quat continues to sanitize after the alcohol is evaporated. And there's enough alcohol concentration at 58% to completely dry the residual moisture within the product. The only thing with alcohol is that it could be flammable because of the high alcohol concentration, very flammable. So you can't fog it, you can't mist it. It could really only be applied in spray bottles or wipes. So the idea behind our BioSpray technology, and I'll play this video so you can see it. Just fast forward a little. The idea here is we mix a CO2 cylinder that we put in the back of the machine. And we mix the CO2 cylinder with the alcohol, and we shoot them out together. The CO2 has 2 functions. One, it's a natural propellant, so it'll shoot the alcohol in a nice, fine, even mist. And it also makes the alcohol completely inflammable. That CO2 mixed with the alcohol, you could hold a match up, or you could use a lighter right next to it and actually put the fire out. So the CO2 makes the alcohol unflammable. It's an amazing propellant. And when we mix it with this lab-calibrated gun, we're able to spray surfaces with a fine, even mist of the D2. And what that allows us to do is achieve a 50% faster application time with D2. So we could sanitize in half the time. We use half the chemical because we can coat in a fine mist. We need to use less chemical to coat the same surface. And it's also able to get into hard-to-reach areas that a wipe or a spray bottle would struggle to get into. So several benefits to a dry bakery or snack food facility. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you joining. I'm going to take some questions now. There should be a way on there should be a button somewhere on the bottom where you could ask questions. Looks like I've got a couple here already. Okay, one good question. Can you use chemicals in the steam cleaner? Yes, you can. There is chemical functionality where we can mix in, let's say, a degreaser or something else along with the steam to hit a surface at the same time. Now, what we found is that it's always better to pre-treat a surface before hitting it with steam because you want the chemical to have some dwell time on that surface. Be it a minute or 2 minutes, you want that chemical to break down the soil and then follow up with steam cleaning. If you run it through a steam cleaner, it'll hit the surface at the same time as the steam, and there's no dwell time, so it's not that effective. Good question. Let's see, any other questions? Thanks, Jennifer, anytime. Nice, glad you can make it as well. Todd, I'm not sure if a recording is available. I think it should be, and we'll follow up with an email to everyone that joined today with a link if it is available. Good one. Does steam sanitize? So steam, because the temperature is so high coming out, it does have a nice effect to sanitize surfaces. Well, not sanitize, reduce micro counts. We don't recommend it as a actual sanitizer. You know, in order to get a 5-log reduction on, let's say, a large area with a steam cleaner, would be very difficult, and the operator would need to be very diligent. Typically, we recommend it as a sanitizer for smaller areas where we could hold surface temperatures on the equipment at a specific temperature for a certain amount of minutes. For example, if we could hold the surface temperature of a piece of equipment at 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes, we know we've sanitized that surface. But an operator working with a steam wand, unless it's a very, very small area, would be very difficult to get a 5-log reduction. So Susan, good question. The BioSpray comes with the alcohol-based sanitizer. You can use other chemical products within it. It's really made for alcohol-based, so like a 58% alcohol or anywhere from a 10 to 70% alcohol is fine for the machine. I haven't tried peracetic acid, but I don't see why you couldn't. I just have to do a compatibility check and make sure it'd be compatible. But if you send me an MSDS, I'll run it by our engineering team and see if that's peracetic acid is something you could use. Todd, great question. There is a quat-free version of the D2 available. It's a 70% ethanol instead of 58% isopropyl, and there's no quat in it. So yeah, we do have that 70% ethanol quat-free. That's for organic environments. Anytime, Bridget and Rick. Thanks for joining. Here's a good question from Brian. What is the widest modular belt cleaning system? So the widest one we made was actually 94 inches for a Kiwi manufacturer somewhere overseas. So we made them really wide. And as long as you make it to the widest belt in a facility, you can narrow it down to fit everything smaller. So just one belt cleaning system can be used everywhere in the facility. We got one more question. Is dry steam really okay for dry areas? It all depends on the application. There might be some areas that where absolutely no moisture is tolerated. And in those areas, we'd have to look at that together. But that's something that Goodway likes to work really closely with our customers on. You know, we get out for site visits all the time. So if you ever need help with a specific application, give us a call. We'd be happy to come by and look at it together. And maybe if steam's not the right solution, recommend something else that might work better for you. Good question for Rick. Would BioSpray be a good application for meat plants? Generally speaking, no. We'd want to use more of a water-based chemistry in meat plants and just flood the environment, because we have to do a full wet cleaning in a meat plant just for USDA regulations and food safety. We usually limit the use of an alcohol sanitizer or something like BioSpray just to water-sensitive areas. So it would work very well in a meat plant on specific applications like cleaning water, sanitizing water-sensitive equipment, sanitizing inside control panels, and other areas that can't be washed down. Great. Any other questions? All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate your time. We'll send a follow-up email with that link to everyone who joined today. And anytime, Rick. I appreciate everybody listening in. If there's anything I could ever help you with, my number's there, my email, that's my cell phone. Call me anytime. I'd be happy to help you out and work with you. Have a great day, and Happy New Year.